everyone, I'm Errol Saturn, and welcome back to another longer form video here on this YouTube channel. So back in May of this year of 2024, I went and saw what has honestly become one of my favorite movies of the year, which is Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. And pretty much immediately after seeing that movie, I went back and saw for the very first time the trilogy of Planet of the Apes movies that came right before, which of course consists of Rise, Dawn, and War for the Planet of the Apes. And I absolutely loved watching all three of these. So because some of my other plans fell through for this video, I decided today to talk about this trilogy and why I think it is one of the best trilogies of movies from the 2010s. And of course, we are starting with kicking this trilogy off is of course Rise of the Planet of the Apes from 2011. And I absolutely loved this one. I think it definitely helped that I saw this one right after seeing Kingdom, because I was super invested in how this, quote, ape virus kind of began. I love a good story about the origin of something that has absolutely catastrophic effects later, and this is such a great example of that. The cast really all do a great job. You really care for and feel for Caesar. The scene where he says his first word is super powerful. The battle on the Golden Gate Bridge is gripping. The emotional moments are very strong, especially between James Franco and Caesar. And I love the drama the humans face about creating something that was used for good, but now has spiraled into something they could have never imagined. This is a great grounded start to an amazing trilogy, and while the CGI for the apes does look great, the improvement is incredibly noticeable in the next one. The second one in the trilogy is Dawn of the Planet of the Apes from 2014. And this is definitely tied with Rise as being my favorite from this trilogy. The action scenes are tense, the ape and human drama is incredibly compelling and thought-provoking, the run-down dystopian city setting is such a good tone change of a setting from Rise. I legitimately love Koba as the main villain. You almost feel bad for him at points. The human characters are all super fun to be around. Watching the growth of Caesar into the figure he becomes is the kind of underdog story that is always fun to root for. The CGI has a drastic improvement from Rise, and is such a technical marvel as well. It's probably some of the best CGI since Davy Jones in Disney's Pirates of the Caribbean, and Maurice is the best character ever in fiction. It ends with a great cliffhanger that sets up the next one perfectly, and there is a definite reason as to why this one made as much money as it did. The third and final installment of this trilogy is of course War for the Planet of the Apes from 2017. And while this is easily my least favorite of the trilogy, that definitely doesn't mean at all that it's a bad movie either. The CGI once again has improved. The apes pretty much look photoreal at this point, especially in any scene where they are out in the sun. The conflict is very interesting. Woody Harrelson's villain is a good threat. There's good humor, especially with the new character Bad Ape, and the ending is very emotionally moving as well. But my biggest complaint with this one is I was missing a bigger scope since this is the final one in the trilogy. A simple prison break does have its moments of finality, and the setting of them being in the middle of a war does help as well, but I was missing something that had long-term effects outside of Caesar's fate and humans losing their ability to speak. I felt like Dawn had a bigger scope than this final one. This again is my least favorite, but it is still a great conclusion to this awesome trilogy. And that's it, everyone. That is all the movies. And I think that this trilogy is truly an amazing feat in filmmaking, and there is a reason why people still love these movies all these years later. I absolutely love Andy Serkis as the main character of Caesar. He plays this character with a lot of emotional complexity and depth, and I was super worried going into these movies that he was kind of going to go cuckoo crazy like his role in the Marvel movies or Gollum from Lord of the Rings, but thankfully that is just not the case at all. He plays this character with a lot of subtlety and maturity, which I do really think helps make this story work as well as it does. Both Patrick Doyle and Michael Giacchino do a great job at composing these movies. Their scores feel very reminiscent to the 1968 Planet of the Apes movie, while still feeling like their own unique self. And both Rupert Wyatt, who directed Rise, and Matt Reeves, who directed both Dawn and War, do a great job at bringing these insane worlds to life. I would honestly compare this trilogy to Christopher Nolan's Batman trilogy because it takes something as ridiculous as apes taking over the planet and grounds it to something that feels real and grounded and tackles relevant human themes like the concept of evolution, revenge, playing God, trust, leadership, and perseverance. If you want my super quick ranking of all three, I would say Dawn is my favorite, Rise is a very close second, and War is easily my least favorite. If you haven't watched these movies before, take a minute, watch them all, and I promise that you won't be disappointed.